Hi guys, welcome back to the next episode of Director's Chat. Today we're looking at the visionary world of Sam Raimi, so let's get into it. Welcome back to Director's Chat. We're talking about directors. Today we're talking about Sam Raimi. Now before you do it, don't forget to subscribe and click notification bell. Here's our group. So I'm going to go through Sam Raimi, all of his movies. I'm going to talk about I'm not going to talk about any of the TV shows. I'm not going to talk about Ash vs. Evil Dead. I'm not going to talk about strict murder movies that all started in 1977. When he did It's Murder, which is a feature-length movie showing a Super 8 film. This was directed by Sam Raimi while he was still in college, and it stars Scott Spiegel, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, Ted Raimi, and Bruce Campbell will show up in most of Sam Raimi's movies, the same as Ted Raimi. And no, I haven't seen this movie. I don't know if it's good or not. Then 1981, we had The Evil Dead, which was a supernatural horror film. This is Sam Raimi, his feature directorial debut, and this starred Bruce Campbell, Eileen Sandwise, Richard Manical, Bessie Baker, and Theresa Tilly. Made $2.7 million, $375,000 budget. Both early and later critical reception were universally positive. In the years since its release, the film has developed a reputation as one of the most significant cult films, cited among the greatest horror films of all time, and one of the most successful independent films. It launched the careers of Raimi, Tabert, and Campbell, who have continued to collaborate on some films such as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. The Evil Dead spawned a media franchise, beginning with 2 direct sequels written and directed by Sam Raimi, Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, a 4th film, Evil Dead, which serves as a soft reboot and continuation, a follow-up television series, Ash vs. Evil Dead, which aired from 2015 to 2018, and a 5th film, Evil Dead Rise. The franchise also includes video games, comic books. The film protagonist Ash Williams is considered to be a cultural icon. And this one's good. I think it's one of my favorite Sam Raimi movies. That's Evil Dead. Then 1985, we had Crime Wave. Now this was a comedy film. This was starred Louis Lasser, Paul L. Smith, Brian James, Siri J. Wilson, Edward R. Pressman, Bruce Campbell, and Reed Birney. It made $5,000 on a $2.5 million budget. This movie was the film was a box office flop and has since fallen into relatively obscurity outside of fans of Campbell and Raimi. Few critics reviewed it upon release, though the little amount of critical reception it received was mostly negative. Several story elements in Crime Wave influenced later production by Raimi, and its overall failure directly led to the inception of Evil Dead 2. Over time, the film has reduced the status of a minor cult film. And I've not seen this movie. I don't know if it's good or not. Then in 1987, we had Evil Dead 2. This was Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. It's the second installment in the Evil Dead films. It's considered both a remake and sequel to the Evil Dead. And this starred Bruce Campbell, Sarah Berry, Dan Hicks, Cassie Wesley, and Richard Dormier. It made $5.9 million, $3.5 million budget. Much like The Evil Dead, it was widely acclaimed by critics. He praises Horace Raimi's direction and Campbell's performance, many considered superior to his predecessor, and similarly as one of the greatest horror films ever made. Despite being given somewhat limited release, it was a minor box office success, grossing just under $6 million. As with the first one, Evil Dead 2 has accumulated a large international cult following. And I actually I think I like it than the first one, Evil Dead 2. Then in 1990, we had Darkman. This was a superhero film. It's based on a short story Raimi wrote that paid homage to Universal's horror films of the 1980s. It starred Liam Neeson, Frances McDormand, Colin Farrell, and Larry Drake. It made $48.8 million, a $14 million budget. It received positive reviews and was commercially successful, grossing. And this financial success spawned 2 direct sequels video sequels: Darkman 2, The Return of Durant in 1995, and Darkman 3, Darkman Die 1996, as well as comic book, video games, and action figures. Neeson did not reprise his role for direct-to-video sequels. And in April 2022, Neeson stated that he would be interested in reprising his role for a legacy sequel to the original film. The producers of the sequel film was attached, and the studio had started to talk about the sequel. There was going to be a television series. The pilot was unaired and it never got picked up. I actually like Darkman. I think it's a good movie. I recommend you check it out. It's Darkman. Then 1992, we had Army of Darkness. Now, this is a dark fantasy horror comedy film. The film is the third installment Evil Dead film series and the sequel to Evil Dead 2. This stars Bruce Campbell and Embeth Davids. It made $2.5 million budget and received generally positive reviews, who praised Raimi's direction, humor, visuals, and Campbell's performance, though criticism was aimed at the lighter tone compared to the previous films. And most of these are attributed to the studio's creative conflicts and behavior on set and during post-production. Despite not being a box office success, it became a success on video release and later gained a cult following from fans of the series, along with the other two in the trilogy. And the film was dedicated to Evil Dead sales agent and Evil Dead 2 executive producer Owen Shapiro, who died before the film's production in 1989. And yeah, this one's a good movie. I actually enjoyed it. Not as good as the first two, but yeah, it's okay. Then in 1995, we had Quick and the Dead. Now, this was a ravenous Western film. It starred Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, Russell Crowe, Robert Blossom, Kevin Conway, Lance Hendrickson, Pat Hingle, and Gary Sinise. It made $47 million on a $35 million budget. The dismissal box office performance received mixed reviews from critics. In later years, although the film has earned critical praise, especially for the performances, direction, cinematography, and musical score, with some critics known it as underrated in Raimi's catalog. And I actually like this movie. It's okay. I saw it on Netflix a couple of weeks ago, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought Sharon Stone's good in it, Gene Hackman's good in it, Russell Crowe's good in it as well. And yeah, it was okay. So that's Quick and the Dead. Then 1998, we had A Simple Plan. This is a neo-noir crime thriller film. It's based on the 1993 novel of the same name by Scott B. Smith, and this starred Bill Paxton, Billy Bob Thornton, and Bridget Fonda. It made $16.3 million, $17 million budget. It was well critical acclaim. It underperformed at the North American box office. Reviewers praised various aspects of the film's production, including the storytelling, performance, and Raimi's direction. I actually like this movie. I think it's good. It's a good movie, good Sam Raimi movie. That's A Simple Plan. Then 1999, we had For the Love of the Game. This was a sports drama film. It's based on the novel of the same name, the 1991 novel by Michael Shara, and it made $46.1 million, $50 million budget. The film received mixed reviews from critics and was a box office disappointment. This starred Kevin Costner, Kelly Preston, John C. Reilly, Jenna Malone, and Brian Cox. And this movie's okay. So so that's For Love of the Game. Then 2000, we had The Gift. This was a supernatural horror film, and this starred Kate Blanchett, Giovanni Ribisi, Keanu Reeves, Katie Holmes, Greg Kinnear, and Hilary Swank. And this made $44.6 million, $10 million budget. And this one is okay. It's not my favorite Sam Raimi movie, so that's The Gift. And then in 2002, we had Spider-Man, which was a superhero film. It's the first installment in Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, and it starred Tobey Maguire, Willem Dafoe, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Cliff Robertson, and Rosemary Harris. And it made $825 million, $139 million budget. The film received positive reviews from audiences and critics who praised Raimi's direction, the story, the performances, visual effects, action sequences, and musical score. It was the first film to reach $100 million in a single weekend, as well as the most successful film based on a comic book at the time, with a box office gross of $825 million worldwide. It was the third highest gross from 2002. the highest grossing superhero film, and the sixth highest grossing film overall at the time of its release. Spider-Man is credited for redefining the modern superhero genre as well as the summer blockbuster. And after this success, it spawned two sequels, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. Maguire and Dafoe later reprised their roles in Spider-Man No Way Home, which dealt with the concept of multiverse and linked the Raimi trilogy to the MCU. And this one was good. I actually enjoyed this movie, so Spider-Man, great movie. Then in 2004, we had Spider-Man 2. Um, this was a superhero film. It's the second installment in Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, and it starred Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Alfred Molina, Rosemary Harris, Donna Murphy. And it made $789 on a $200 million budget. It received widespread acclaim from critics who praised its emotional weight and visual effects, as well as Maguire and Molina's performances and Raimi's direction. And it grossed $789 making it the third highest grossing film of the year. And the film is widely regarded as one of the greatest superhero films ever made, and a blueprint for future movies in the genre. Its success led to Spider-Man 3, and this one is also great. I think this is probably the best one in the trilogy, Spider-Man 2. Then 2007 we had Spider-Man 3, which was a superhero film. It's the final installment in Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy and sequel to Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2. This starred Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Thomas Hayden Church, Topher Grace, Bryce Dallas Howard, James Cromwell, Rosemary Harris, and J.K. Simmons. It made $895 on a $258 to $350 million budget. I forgot Spider-Man 2 made $789 on a $200 million budget. Spider-Man 3. It grossed $895 making it the highest grossing film in the trilogy, the third highest grossing film in 2007, and was the highest grossing Spider-Man film until it was surpassed by Spider-Man Far From Home 2019. Unlike the previous installment, Spider-Man 3 received mixed reviews. A fourth installment, titled Spider-Man 4, was set to be released on May 5th, 2011, followed by a Venom spin-off, along with a fifth and sixth installment titled Spider-Man 5 and Spider-Man 6, respectively. But all were cancelled. The Spider-Man film series was rebooted twice. First with The Amazing Spider-Man 2012 by Mark Webb and starring Andrew Garfield, and later a new film series set within the Monster Maker universe, directed by Johnny Watson, starring Tom Holland, beginning with Spider-Man Homecoming. A Venom film featuring another character of Eddie Brock's character was eventually produced and released in 2018. And this is probably the weakest one in the trilogy, Spider-Man 3. In 2009 we had Drag Me to Hell. This was a supernatural horror film, and it starred Alison Lohman, Justin Long, Lorna Raver, Dilip Rayo, David Paymer, and Adriana Barraza, and it made $90.8 million on a $30 million budget. And this movie, it was a critical and commercial success. I actually saw this movie on Netflix, and it's a good movie. I actually enjoy it. There's been talks of a sequel. His production company, Raimi's production company, Ghost House Pictures, are coming up with ideas for a sequel. And yeah, I like this movie. I thought it was great. So it's Drag Me to Hell. Yeah, 2013 we had Oz the Great and Powerful. Now this was a fantasy adventure film. It's based on L. Frank Baum's early 20th century Oz novels, and set 20 years before the events of the original 1900 film. The film is a spiritual prequel to the 1939 Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer film, The Wizard of Oz. It starred James Franco, Mila Kunis, Rachel Weisz, Michelle Williams, Zach Braff, Bill Cobes, Joey King, and Tony Cox. It made $493.3 million, $250 million budget. It received mixed reviews. It grossed $493 million, making it the 13th highest grossing film in 2013. I actually enjoyed this movie. There's been talks of a sequel, but as of 2023, Disney has not begun development of the sequel. And I actually like this movie. It's really good. So it was a great and powerful, great movie. And then finally in 2022, we had Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. This was a superhero film. Is a sequel to Doctor Strange and the 28th film in the Monster Maker universe. And it starred Benedict Cumberbatch, Elizabeth Olsen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Benedict Wong, Joel Gomez, Michael Stolberger, Rachel McAdams. It made $955.8 million on $172.2 million budget. The film received praise for Raimi's direction, the visuals, musical score, production design, cinematography, and Olsen's performance. With criticism drawn to the screenplay. It made $955 million, making it the fourth highest grossing film in 2022. And this one is great. It's okay. It's not as good as the first one, but I think after this we might get Doctor Strange 3. I think Sam Raimi might come back, which I kind of wish. I kind of wish this movie was directed by Scott Derrickson, to be honest, because he was gonna do like a full horror movie, and that's pretty much it. That is Sam Raimi. I don't think Sam Raimi's made a bad movie. I like pretty much all his movies, so that's it. That's the visionary world of Sam Raimi. You guys, thank you for watching my videos. See you next time. Bye.